just wouldn't. They wouldn't do it. Look, listen just to the way that I talk. I mean, in comparison to a lot of Americans.
Yeah,
On
can I
Clubhouse.
interrupt you and just say that
Yeah.
Trump is a reactionary response? I mean, he won because people wanted to give the big fuck you to the government, like what Michael Moore said. And,
Yeah.
he's not stopping. And they tried to kill him twice, and they lied. They did all this lawfare, everything else. Like, this is, if he wins, I'll be amazed. I don't think he can beat Dominion voting systems and Alex Soros and George Soros.
I mean, they hired the worst assassins, right? Like they hired.
It's
like,
unbelievable.
nerdy kid.
I can't believe. Could you imagine if that kid, if he actually got him?
A real assassin, right?
Could you imagine if Michael Crooks actually killed him? I mean, that would have been so disgraceful for our government. The Secret Service almost let it happen. These fat, obese, lesbian DEI hires that don't know the first thing about security. You fucking had a clear shot. That's fucking traitorship.
The Republican Party hired the wrong assassin. It's beautiful.
Yeah, nice disinformation there, but the Republicans did not hire an assassin to kill Trump. I mean, you think Mitch McConnell did that? No, that was Kamala and Joe Biden that did that. That was the deep state that did that. That was BlackRock that did that. Who the fuck knows who did it?
So as you guys can hear, like
assassination conspiracy theories are a bit like even for joking, like I think that's probably a bit much.
Yeah, that's insane.
Oh yeah, nobody even tried to kill him. Just cover it up, put a rug over it. Don't even talk about it.
So Joshua, you can hear like I think if you go into rooms with a lot of Canadians tend to speak more in nuance and less hyperbolic and less. They swear less angry, that sort of. It's just the culture is different, and so again, I think someone with Trump, they would never even make it into. They wouldn't make it in politics. I think we wouldn't appreciate it.
So now, like when you say they wouldn't make it into, do they have to be proved under the code of law that they made a racial comment that created division or hatred or fight among two groups of people, or is it just the opinion of TV anchors? Is that enough, or does it have to be proved in a court of law?
No. It's okay. So if you're running for politics in Canada, anybody can run for politics. And as far as I understand, I could be wrong. Even if you're not born in Canada, you can be the prime minister here. And certainly, Stark, a lot of people from India are in politics in my city. Lots and lots. But we have free speech, basically. I mean, there's always exceptions in small places, like you can't yell fire in a movie theater, that sort of thing. But if someone's running for politics, and let's say they're a Sikh or something here, right? And they said, "Oh, I hate those Hindus," and they would have two choices. Their party, let's say it's a guy in the Liberal Party, a Sikh guy within the Liberal Party in Canada, and he says, "Oh, I hate those fucking Hindus," or something. He would have two choices. He would have to come on TV and apologize to the Hindu community and maybe go to like their temple and shake hands and say, "I'm sorry" on TV. Or his own party would ask him basically, please step down. Do not run. We will not allow you to represent us. He's free to say it under free speech laws in Canada. But that's how our politics are. So, I mean, it would be like the Republican Party saying to Trump, "I'm sorry, you've said too many hateful things on TV. You are not going to represent the Republican Party. You're not good for the country. This is not the sort of thing that we want." And then they would kick him out. So that's kind of like how Canadians sort of keep themselves in line that way.
It's like what happened with Biden, right? Like, he showed himself on TV to literally be, in dementia. And the party, which is a private party, right, decided that Joe Biden was no longer going to be their guy, which is their right as a private party.
Yeah, exactly. And Canadians, we really care about, when it comes to politics, that we don't like our politicians swearing or you know, doing crazy stuff like that. Yeah.
So at that point, Mellog and Romero, did the Democratic Party act at the right time, or did they wait a little too late before replacing Biden? Like, did they not know, whatever Romero said just now about Biden, did they not know before the debate with Trump? Or did they know and they remind to slide it under the rug, hoping it would not come
Well, it
on?
wouldn't be the first time that a president's health concerns were kept under wrap. And yeah, in my opinion, well, in my real opinion, I wouldn't have voted for Biden from the get-go, but, you know, he became president. And once there, like, it was pretty obvious from pretty early on in the second term that he was, like, really, or not second term, but, like, the first term, that he was really just fucking not there anymore. Because just from being vice president to Obama to his first term, there was a massive decline. But it was still a better choice at the time with that current situation. And would I wish they I don't know. I don't know if it was they waited too long or not enough. I do know that it's now done.
Well, the DNC made it very clear that they get to pick the candidate, as every Bernie supporter knows.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with the Republican Party, right? Like, even after, they don't have to do.
Except they let Trump run. That's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Trump is also incredibly unhealthy. The RNC isn't asking him to stop. Right? So,
I
like,
think they're in a pickle because they've got, a huge following behind Trump. And I think they're just sort of stuck between that and the more conservative Republicans, that are non-populist. And I think they would sell their soul to the devil, aka Trump, if needed.
I agree. I'm asking that because, like, the Stark formulates his questions with, like, a very strong opinion behind those questions, right? And so I feel like both Donald Trump and Joe Biden are extremely old, extremely unhealthy, and both have cognitive decline. One party eventually did the right thing and pulled their candidate, and the other party can't be bothered.
A lot of people think they're going to pull. They got Vance in there because they just want Trump to make it to the finish line, and then they'll take him out and have Vance be the president. I don't know how substantial those rumors are, but clearly Trump is declining.
Yeah, it's been a rough few weeks for Trump.
I sincerely hope they are just rumors, just wild rumors, because we want a strong democracy. In that, we want a stable president, stable governance, and safety for public officials, safety for private citizens, and safety for immigrants, and a safe pathway for refugees and other people, other immigrants who don't come into the legal immigrant framework. We want a safe pathway, because I hear a lot of people who migrate into US through the borders by foot, they face a lot of attacks and harm. They face their lives are in danger. They get abused on the way as they come through several countries by road, by land. So
By boat.
I think
they
that should be a
find
better.
humans in shipping containers all the time.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So such things, it just breaks the heart. That.
Yeah, and who do you think has policies that's going to address those things?
Stark, I think, are you in America? No, right?
He is.
You are? Oh, I don't see a lot of immigrants or refugees being attacked and killed in the United States. There are certainly racist people, but I don't know.
Well, no. So like, he's not wrong, right? Like if you're saying that people that are traveling from South America through the road, through the beast, the train, right? There are plenty of people that are assaulted and hurt. There are plenty of people that are taken advantage of. Yeah. Crossing the border from Mexico to the United States is money, right? And dangerous. One of my aunts almost drowned in Rio Grande. But like the problem with this setup is that if Stark cares about immigrant safety, right, then we had a bill that both parties were ready to sign off on, but Donald Trump told his party, don't sign it, kill it, because I want to run on this, right? So and during his 4 years, his immigration policy was a joke. So to say that, okay, I'm pro-Trump because I'm pro-immigration, or I want a safe passage for immigrants to get to the United States, that's chickens for Colonel Sanders. You know what I mean? That's like, we're chickens and we want you to vote for Colonel Sanders because Colonel Sanders keeps us safe. Like, it's so factually incorrect that it has to be pointed out.
And we're not addressing the underlying problem, which is why are immigrants coming to the United States to work for $10 a day picking fruit or whatever, right? We've destabilized a lot of South American governments, and we're not willing to pay the true cost of food. If Trump were elected and he says he's going to have the biggest deportation ever, right? Right now, I wish like every single immigrant just stopped working for a week in the United States. You would see the entire country shut down. So, we're not addressing the underlying problem is the problem, because we want cheap food, we want cheap shirts, we want cheap everything, and we're not paying the true cost of goods. And this is why people are coming into our country to seek a better life. And until we fix those underlying problems, I think we're not going to really do much.
Real quick, Carlos, I want to, yes, and your point, but I want to add some specificity to it, right? Like, we can talk about the exploitation of labor and other things, but like, if we want to be really specific, Donald Trump talks about Venezuela, and he uses it as an example, right? But some of the things that happened in Venezuela, if we look at this, right, and I'm not an expert, so I'm just talking about things I remember. Some of the things that happened there was that the U.S. actually backed rebels, which of course caused the economy to become unstable. And then even somewhat under Donald Trump's presidency, supported private companies coming in to interrupt the distribution of their oil supply, which was their like primary export, right? So we actually deliberately destabilized their economy, and then got up on stage and said, "Oh yeah, we don't want to be like Venezuela. Look at them. Oh my God, we have a border crisis. Where are these people coming from? Holy shit, what's the problem? Can't imagine." Right? So we literally deliberately destabilized their economy on purpose, twice in fact, and then turned around and were like, I don't know where these people are coming from. Right? So yes, 100%. And we can talk about like border policy and stuff. But I just want to point that out as a specific example. And in fact, whenever people talk about, oh, Harris was supposed to help with that. In fact, she did go and liaise with Venezuela and dramatically reduced their border policy, because her working with their government did help them stabilize their economy and did help people who lived there improve their conditions of living, and stopped a huge amount of immigrants. It happened to be the case that other governments, which some of which we also helped destabilize, began to have large amounts of immigrants.
So, yeah, I think it's way, and I don't mean to be rude, Joshua. I just think it's
Good.
the situation in Venezuela is way more complex than that.
Oh yeah, I know it goes back to like 2010 and all this other stuff. I know.
Well, all sorts of. I've heard so many angles about it, from so many different perspectives. My neighbor, he said it's because of China. I don't know who or what.
Everything is multifactorial, right? Like even if we get down to like how the privatization of businesses occurred, right? It happened to be the case that the government didn't immediately want to, or it wasn't privatization. It was socialization of business. Yeah, and it happened to be the case that the reason they snatched up those businesses because they wanted them to stop overseas trading, and it just like it's all very complicated.
It is, but
So
I mean, there is a. Can I just point out one thing? There's a really famous economist, and I think I forget his name just at the particular moment now, but he said you shouldn't ask why a country is poor, right? The answer is simple. The human condition is one of war, chaos, and poverty, and disease, and like if we were to have a nuclear war and all our technology's gone, yeah, the whole world's just going to be chaotic. Just people killing each other. Everybody's poor as fuck. He said the better question, the important question to ask is like, why are some countries peaceful and wealthy, and how did they get that way? That's really the difficult question, because this economist, he posits that in order to have a healthy, wealthy country, you have to have like 50 things line up just perfectly, and then your country's doing okay. And most of the time, most countries, and it's impossible to get to like that really good place. So I don't know why Venezuela broke down. It's because not everything was organized as optimally as best as it could, But I think that when I heard this historian and economist put it that way, it really makes a lot of sense,
okay. Thanks, guys. You want to jump in?
Yeah, I just want to jump in real quick. It doesn't make any sense what he was saying. I don't know, maybe you missed some of what he was saying, but the point is this, man. If you have tyrants at the helm, the country is going to break down, right? Because
100%.
they're going to be self-serving. They're not going to respect the people. You understand me? That we've seen it throughout history. Come on now. Turkish Empire, the Roman Empire, all of these that have come and gone, right? Alexander the Great and all these people, the Huns and Hitler, right? We've seen.
You mean history and reality and life? You got TDS 10, Ted. You're a liar. You're a liar.
They destroy the fabric of their country. They start to silence the press. They start to silence the media. Trump just sat in an interview just today, and he said he's going to let the FCC take away the license of CBS, right? Simply because they questioned him during a debate. That's
A
it.
couple days ago. But you're right.
They just fact checked him, and he's like, we're going to subpoena their records if he wins, right? You have Trump running around saying we're going to go after the enemies from within, American people, enemies from within, like Adam Schiff. Guys, do you guys know who Adam Schiff is? Adam Schiff is
Shifty Schiff. He's a scam artist. He's a Democrat liar. Wait, you asked the question. We know who he is. He's a liar. He's an anti-American, anti-patriotic liar like you. He's a fucking liar.
What the hell, man?
Please mind your language. Let the brother complete. Let the brother complete. Make his point. Yeah.
Adam Schiff
Let him go ahead and
is.
land there.
Yeah, I'm gonna land soon. Adam Schiff used to be, in the House, Congress. He's going to be a senator now. He's just another senator. That he led the impeachment.
Another liar.
He did, but the impeachment was turned down. As you know, the Senate did not eject Trump. They should have. So now Trump is threatening to use the military to go after Adam Schiff.
So Dan.
So these are the
so-
things. Let me finish here. These are the things that tear the fabric and destabilize your country. You guys understand?
I think we're saying the same thing, Ken. What I'm saying is that for a country to operate well, its leaders have to be good, its infrastructure, its technology has to be good, its geography has to be good. So many things have to line up just perfectly for a country to run well. And you're right to be concerned, because if you get a bad leader in place, he could do some damage. Now the United States is so strong. Obviously it's going to survive Trump. That's no problem, but it's not good. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Neolite and Tan. Let me just add this piece of info. Across the U.S., there are several mayors, and there's one town in Michigan. It's a city called Hamtramck. The significance of this little town is it's all Muslim government. Okay, everyone in
I'm sorry,
the
Stark. What
the mayor of
state
this-
is it? What state is this city in?
This is in Michigan. Yeah. So this is a
Near Dearborn,
all-Muslim
yeah.
government. Yeah, and the mayor of that city has officially endorsed Donald Trump. So that is news that really caught my eyes. It just to those who call him, to those who call Trump as racist, this and that and this, and we have this one city where the mayor has an all Muslim government, has officially endorsed Trump. So we're just trying to understand. We're just trying to understand the current affairs that's happening around us. What is true?
It's populism. People view him as being a redeemer, a moral virtue, a great leader, a big fuck you to the military industrial banking industrial complex that's sucking everybody's life out of them through taxes.
And there's a lot of
there are people who are just getting started. There are people who are just getting started their day. So I would appreciate if you can contain your language to a more soothing one. People don't want to hear all this when they start the day. So, anyways, you're welcome to share. Just
Stark, there's a lot of factories around there. There's a lot of factories around that area, like Detroit, Hamtramck, and Dearborn. And a lot of the folks that work in the factories, they think that Trump is more nationalist when it comes to like production of goods, which is maybe true. And there's so many Muslims, different kinds of Muslims. Not all of them think the same or something like that. So they're just thinking, they're Muslim Americans. They want jobs.
right. and I also read when something happened between Nelson Mandela and the U.S. government after he was released from his decades and decades long imprisonment in South Africa. Some sponsored his trip. He offered, and in fact, he sent his plane to transport Nelson Mandela from Africa to America, also across different cities and giving speeches and meeting leaders. I found that very interesting. So I've been asking myself what to make out of all this.
Well, I think it's good to see that no single person or idea is one-dimensional. Everything's complicated, man. The news is always wanting to make people 100% evil or 100% good, which is never the case.
Listen, go to usdebtclock.org. I'm going to put it in the chat. Every American owes over $500,000 to the government. Everyone's born into debt. The government will never be able to pay off $40 trillion. It's impossible if you do forward statistical prediction. You can just see that the deficit keeps going up and up and up and up. So this is like end stage empire, fiat paper, cartoon artwork, monopoly money, you might call it.
So I just want to ask you a quick
Go ahead
question
and
here.
tell us about your economic policy, please.
I was going to ask you some questions. I think you maybe.
No questions. Just state your opinions and your facts. The problem is questions. Just experiment and just tell us your opinions. No need to ask me anything. And I don't want to answer any of your lame questions.
Oh, okay, fine. So, the U.S. government should never not be in debt. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't have a rebuttal? Maybe if we'd gone through the series of questions, you'd have had like some foothold to grasp onto, but now you just realize you
Okay, Socrates. Okay, Socrates, just go ahead and tell us what you know. Just tell us what you know. It's that simple. Just state an opinion.
The U.S. government should always be in debt. It's just a fact.
Oh, okay. Okay, if you say so, sir. You're the authoritarian. You know everything.
No, it's just a fact. If you remember, because you're apparently a child based on your behavior, if you remember, whenever Clinton was president and the budget was balanced, he was actually criticized because the U.S. national debt was too low and it had a negative impact on the economy, right? But you just don't remember that because it's not convenient for you in this moment. But I bet then you were talking about it in the other way, and I bet you do remember that. You just don't want to admit it.
How many of you guys are like...
Are you guys really all... Are you pro-Clinton? Are you pro-Hillary? Are you serious right now? Is that... Wait, hold on. Is Joshua being serious right now?
Hang on. Just a second. You see, I would prefer if we have a valid point, I would just contribute, add, bring that to the table. Just one correction in what Joshua said under Bill Clinton. Yes, the debt to GDP ratio did fall as the economy grew. Okay, the rate of increase of debt slowed when compared with the previous administration. But let's not forget the national debt as a whole. It did increase. I think what Joshua would have wanted to say is Clinton.
The budget was balanced.
So the deficit,
there was no annual deficit.
That's the deficit part. So I think the debt.
Got a live one on the reel.
So, okay. Actually, Daniel, please jump in. I know you wanted to add some points.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this subject. I agree, Love, that debt is a big thing and has to be dealt with. I agree, Joshua, that the government will always use debt in one way or another as part of its operation.
No, it has a debt to the people.
I agree. Let me just finish what I have to say. I believe that it is actually possible by a methodology that Love is not familiar with, and some people will dismiss out of hand, by which the entire debt, not just the deficit, can be retired in 8 years. And there are going to be rooms in this clubhouse that are going through that in detail with the author who plan to do that, and what sort of efforts are going on in order to put that on the agenda, because I do predict that after whatever shakes out in this election, no matter who wins, the debt and the deficit is going to take a huge part of the political culture over the next 2 to 4 years. But it can be
So
solved.
Daniel, what would be the name of that of the plan, or is it a book that someone can refer to?
It will be packaged into various forms of media that don't exist right now that are being prepared. And it will be labeled under the title of How to End the Debt in 8 Years, to get right to the point. But the proposition put forward by the author is that there is a monetary economy and a real economy.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Sorry, what did I miss?
Love just talked about the debt clock, and we all talked about the debt and what sort of impact we think the debt has, and who did better around the deficit and the debt in the first place of all the presidents we've had, which is Clinton. That's objectively true.
Yeah.
And we're talking on one side or the other how much the debt matters and so on and so forth. But a big part of the budget is, of course, servicing the debt. And Love said it's absolutely impossible to solve it, and it just means that the empire is crumbling, which is not going to be the case if people like me have anything to do with it.
Okay.
And there is an actual way to end the debt in 8 years.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay. And so what I was saying is there is a monetary economy and a real economy that we all live in. And the monetary includes, for example, all the foreign exchange that goes on every single day on this planet, sometimes as much as $7 trillion in a single day. The stock market, the bond market, the credit swaps, all that financial product stuff that we created in the last half of the 20th century. And that economy is proportionately bigger than the real economy. And when I ask people how much bigger, I rarely get an accurate estimate, because it turns out that it's almost 250 times as big. And what's important about that is we do all of our taxing in the real economy, that's much smaller. We do zero tax on the monetary economy. So the idea, Love, that you can't solve this is sort of punctured by that, because the proposition is to bring a tiny...
Well, look at it in terms of relative terms. I mean, $40 trillion is 40 Apple corporations, 40 Google corporations. Those things don't just pop up overnight. They spent it all, plus $200 trillion they took in taxes.
Brother Art. Yeah.
I will finish.
Just give me 5 seconds, Daniel. Art, your voluminous, your audio is too loud. So when you come in and speak like Rush Limbaugh, it's just like jarring. So I would request you to, just maybe consider talking in a bit softer tone, and just wait until the gentleman.
Yeah, thank you. So the proposition, so the proposition is that we put a tiny transaction tax on the monetary economy and reduce it to that. In the real economy, we get rid of income tax and property taxes. We can actually fund universal income for people at the bottom of the economy. And he's mapped it all out, and I validate projects and do due diligence on them for a living. So I've been through all of his materials, and I'm going to go out and recruit 50 congressional candidates for the 2026 cycle to run on his plan. And it's going to be called Debt in 8 Years.
Wow.
Who is the person you're talking about?
His name is Scott Taylor Smith.
How will that address the disparity between corporate profits versus GDP and wages versus GDP? Will it help address that? Because that's a huge disparity that we're at the point that we were before the last collapse of our economy. The disparity between corporate profits versus wages, which is the reason
It doesn't even know how to read a balance sheet.
And Trump as populist candidates, because the middle class has literally been wiped out, and none of the profits from the corporations has been distributed as wages which is basically destabilize the middle class and put us in the situation that we're in right now.
I would presume from the question, ideally you'd prefer that the wealthiest are paying a bigger share of tax than they are. Would that be true?
No, I guess what I'm saying is if you look at corporate profits as a function of GDP over the past, 50 years, and you compare that to wages as a function of GDP, you've seen that all the profits have been going to the corporations, have not been distributed as wages. And I believe this is what destroyed the middle class, and that's why we do not.
You and I had lots of great conversation. With due respect, I think it's already big enough to talk about reducing the debt in only 8 years, and providing universal income, generous universal income for those at the bottom of the economy in this very plan we're talking about. I think to also take on what you're talking about would be another great big conversation. But I think the one I'm talking about would add a lot to that and make it a lot easier, because now you'd have people with much more purchasing power than they have today. If you took all of the expenditures on servicing the U.S. debt, it is now bigger than the military already. If you remove that, you make a really good justification for investing in people and infrastructure. Even big ideas which I think would be great economic stimulus. Not everybody may agree with me.
You want to get rid of the NDAA for $1 trillion a year? Also, put me in your queue.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm done saying the proposition. I was just answering Carlos's due diligence question on it. How would it
So you really think within 8 years you can pay off $40 trillion and plus another $10 trillion that they got to borrow over those 8 years? Plus, if you look at the tax receipts, and you're going to pay out a minimum basic income to the poorest and start taxing all mini transactions, tiny transactions, and that's going to pay off $50 trillion in debt, Daniel? Where the fuck do you get off even thinking that? You can't even prove it. Show us the fucking numbers.
Oh, I can show you the numbers. No problem at all.
Real quick, just as a point of clarification, right? I think I understood Carlos to be asking about corporate profit to GDP ratio versus individual wage to GDP ratio, and I think that's just corporate profit to individual wage ratio, and I'm not sure if that's like the best way to look at it, but maybe there's a side discussion to be had there.
Yeah, as I said, it's a worthy separate discussion. I think it's tangential discussion, but we're just talking about if the U.S. debt and the service on that debt is potentially a empire-threatening issue that Love is raising, that if you don't do anything about it, I would actually agree with him. But if there is a way to do it, it comes from restructuring the categories that we're taxing. That's all human consciousness is how we categorize for the way you'd explain it to a 5-year-old. And basically, if we take a whole category that's not being taxed and we tax it, then we can reduce a lot of other taxes and raise a ton more revenue in order to pay off that debt. And yes, I do actually have the numbers to prove it.
I don't believe it, because if you're
okay.
if you're running a $2 trillion in annual deficit and there's no end in sight to spending cuts, you can't grow yourself out of this problem, and you can't inflate yourself out of this problem. It's called immoral money. It's currency manipulation. If we're gonna just let the Congress pass $1.5 trillion acts and omnibus bills, and the Federal Reserve just says, "Hey, it's your responsibility. We'll do what you tell us to do," that's insanity. It's stupid, and we're wasting money hand over foot on all kinds of stupid programs and stupid expenditures. This is a scam.
Love, real quick. What you're doing is narrative writing him into a corner that you think he can't paint himself out of, right? Like you've asked him to answer a question, and then you provided this whole story that's loaded in such a way as to, like I said, paint him into a corner, right? Like, and you must know.
You don't sell unicorns, and neither does he. Where's the growth in these unicorn companies that are going to come out of and pay the taxes to pay down the debt? It's not going to happen.
You're doing the same thing. This is just narrative writing.
No, this is called communication. If you don't like my communication, if you want to competitively frame it as narrative writing, good for you, Joshua. Cute puppy.
Hey, I just want to say, Love, you're just saying I have to go out and prove it. So when I go out and prove it, then we can have the conversation.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, put it in your PTR. Put it in the chat.
So Love, I know you are like literally the only openly identified Trump supporter in this panel. So let me ask you this question. 4 years of Trump, I believe the total debt at the national level was around 27 trillion. And I know that includes the COVID period and all that. So there are a lot of stimulus and other incentives that was pumped in. Giving him the benefit of that fact, if you take the Biden's 4 years, it's estimated to be around 33 trillion. So not much difference. There's a difference of around 5 trillion more under Biden for the same 4 year period. So one could argue both ways. Trump's policies are no different, or one could even factor COVID and then say, despite COVID, Biden is actually
Stark, I am so sorry. I just got on the love for framing, right? You realize presidents don't write economic policy, right? Like, that's the job of the legislature, okay? Title I of the Constitution, they hold the purse strings, they control the money, okay? So, just so we're clear, you're asking the question with the same kind of framing that Love asked.
You interrupted him before he could even ask his question, Joshua. Why don't you be patient and just let him ask his question? Go ahead.
When somebody starts asking a question about how to manufacture shoes out of bubble gum, I'm going to interrupt them too.
That's fine. Yeah, no, I appreciate Joshua's point. So let me factor that too. So love art. So what influence does president, do presidents in fact have on debt, and how is it going to be different under Trump? Provided if
he's a better cheerleader. He runs a big business. He's built businesses. Kamala is nothing but a communist government employee. Same with Joe Biden. These people don't know how to run businesses. They've never tried to open up a shoe manufacturing plant, a bubble gum plant. These people are communist shills, big talkers, hypnotists like Joshua. They're all talk, no character. They've never built a thing in their lives. They're liars, they're frauds, they're cheats, they're scammers, they're manipulators, they're big misinformationists, communication hypnotists. Vote Trump and go to the gym, fatties.
So I have a different answer for you, Stark. There are four ways, Stark. There are four ways the president can control economic policy, right? I'll give Love one of them. I think he accidentally referenced the bully pulpit. The president can also sign or veto bills. Okay, he can do executive orders, which is a form of legislation that often gets shut down by the Supreme Court. Right, so maybe those are kind of things that Love is accidentally mentioning.
What?
Okay, he also appoints the head of the. He also appoints the head of the Fed, right, with the advice and consent of Congress. But he's not supposed to lean on them to make monetary decisions, although Trump has made it a point to say that he absolutely does. I think the last president who openly said it in such a way was Nixon. But those are the ways in which the president directly controls it. Oh, and he has executive decisions like actions the military takes, or, I don't know, let's take Trump's case, right? Where he happens to stay, and maybe if they happen to stay in a Trump hotel versus another hotel, and how much they have to pay to stay there. Those are the ways in which he affects how much money the government spends. That's about it. Oh, I'm sorry. I did forget.
Joe Biden.
Although
has all three arms, like the House and the Senate, in his first 2 years, you would see why they spend so much money using reconciliation with a mere majority vote. Kamala Harris being the record of the tiebreakers 33 times. That's why they were able to make so much or spend so much money. Donald Trump is actually blamed for the tax cuts because he had the exact same type of a dynamic. He had the House, he had the Senate, and mere majority vote, he passed the $1.9 trillion tax cut. Looks like they both had a hand on it.
Hey, I've been in rooms before you and I discussed this, Samoa, so there's a comparison there about the two presidencies and the debt that they ran up. And I don't agree with you, Joshua, that the president doesn't have any impact on the debt.
I gave 4 ways in which he did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
So I think thank you. I appreciate that. But I just facts and numbers matter. History matters. Truth matters. And these two guys had a very different outcome when it comes to the debt and deficit. And the numbers are there. We don't argue over.
Wait, so you don't think that economic indicators like, I don't know, let's say inflation's the one that everybody's going to go to, you don't think those are lagging indicators of previous policy and other things that have occurred in the economy that are outside the president's control?
Well, I was commenting on the debt and deficit. If we want to talk about inflation, let's talk about inflation. First of all, the United States is, in every measure of an economy, is the envy of the world. People may in America think that doesn't matter because it just measures against itself, and happy to have that debate. But inflation is not caused by money supply. It's caused by a scarcity of goods and services, and we've had a supply chain interruption for a number of reasons for several years. But right now, as we sit right now, inflation is a 50-year low.
Well, inflation isn't always caused by a scarcity of goods, but I understand what you mean, yes.
I just think
It's the same money chasing fewer goods, right?
Okay, I just think that we have almost exclusively people talking about inflation as being caused by printing money. That's just not economically true. We've been printing money since 1972, since I was a little child.
It is economically true.
With the debt, which you pointed out. There's far smart uses of the debt as an investment in growing a bigger economy, and you can grow your way out of it. But I don't see why we shouldn't at the same time clean up the debt also.
But Daniel,
government debt is not the same as
Daniel, do you have any gold coins? Does anyone here own any bullion? Because a $2.50 coin from 1920 goes for $500. So that means a tiny little speck of gold, a coin that people used to exchange and say, here's $2.50. This is what I owe you. That is now worth $500 from 1920, 100 years. That's just the price of gold. Inflation is caused by mass paper printing from the Federal Reserve and Congress and omnibus bills for the past 100 years. And if you look at the value of the dollar, you'll realize that you should be born into this country with a $500 surplus attached to your head. You shouldn't be born into $500,000 worth of debt.
There's one thing you and I just found agreement on, because I would agree with that also. I think that the nuanced aspect of what you're referring to as inflation over those years has a lot to do with people's standard of living, which I think most people would want to live today than they would want to live in 1924 from every measure, even though we have like entirely new threats to our existence.
Maybe. I don't know how you really gauge that. The standard of living and the happiness index from 1920 to 2020, it might be lower, to tell you the truth. Probably a lot lower.
One of the best objective places to research that is at a place called the Gapminder Institute, whose entire existence is about studying shit like that. And there's something called the Happiness Report that is published each year. It's a big thing that's heralded every year for the last 15 years, I think now. And we've got some really interesting data there, and it's not all as gloom and doom as you might
You could
think.
buy a nice single-family house for $500 in 1920. Now you're looking at $500,000.
What was your average salary then, love? What was your average salary?
$200 a year. I don't know. The point is, inflation is real, and it's because of the Federal Reserve and fiat currency. If you can't wrap your head around Congress and Federal Reserve and why we have inflation, you are an economic idiot.
Well, let me ask you, love, because real quick, and I'm sorry, Daniel, I just want to jump in real quick. So, love, I just want to make sure you said fiat currency. So, and you said gold earlier. So, you think we should go back to a gold standard?
Again,
right?
enough with your questions. Just tell us your opinion and experiment. I'm not here to do Q&As with you little people. I know you're asking the wrong questions because I don't want to answer any questions from you, puppy.
Okay,
It sounds like you think we should go to a gold standard, love, and I think that's deeply concerning when you're sitting here saying, somebody should, I don't know, go back to school.
You're putting words in my mouth and you're making all or nothing statements. I didn't say anything about going back to a gold standard.
All right, guys.
Well, that's why I asked you first, and you refused to answer, so I told you what it sounded like as per your request. How dare you get chagrined
How
for
dare
following
you?
your instructions?
So if
Weird
one person
person.
talks at a time,
would be better for everyone to follow the important discussion. So, see, my question is this: Daniel, Joshua, Victoria, welcome. Please feel free to jump in. Why, despite spending more, $5 trillion more, why does higher inflation? Why do we have higher unemployment? So why under Biden's 4 years, despite higher spending, 33 trillion estimated national debt, why do we have the economy that's performing under par?
Wait, so I just want to.
I think that's a malformed
I just
question.
want to clarify the question he's asking because I want to be sure. So, are you saying that the economy right now is worse than it was, let's say, 4 years ago?
He's saying
I'm not comparing with the COVID time. Yeah, I'm not talking about the COVID
Okay,
time.
no,
Obviously,
aside from the
that would be
COVID
a bad
time, let's
thing.
say the 3 years before COVID or whatever, and the 4 years of this administration, you're saying what? What is your characterization in comparison there? Are you not paying
That. So we put blankets and everything on top of them, so their face wouldn't be showing, and so they could be safe when we go and give it to my Catholic friends. So
That's
I
nice.
gifted and gave it to them.
Yeah.
Oh, they were so thankful. I didn't even know it was a big deal, but to them it was a huge deal for me to bring them over.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
such a big deal. You have no idea. Like holy water from
Oh yeah, I got it
farm.
from them too. From
A terrorist attack against.
But that's not how humans work. Like you can look at Europe. Okay, I'm half Corsican. In Corsica, for example, hold on a second. In Corsica, more than half of their population in the 1700s, okay, was wiped out because of blood feuds. And of course, they had more like clans, and which largely were families that were connected with each other, doing the eye for the eye shit,
That's
just going on
If I
for
was somebody in
decades.
Gaza, I'll be blaming the people that represent me, who is Hamas.
Corsicans.
I'm not going to blame Israel for that. I'm going to
But
blame Hamas.
you're giving like this, you're acting like you would have this insight, that you would be able to be like somehow completely reasonable and, I don't know, impartial when literally you had to suffer through the loss of your family and friends of yours. That's not, that's like, it's so fucking impractical that it's kind of silly. No offense.
Blaming Israel is like that's just the wrong way of thinking about things.
You're autistic.
Do you guys talk about anything else?
I mean, I don't know. Like, you can look at, even in the Middle East, when it's Muslim on Muslim, we can look at, like, Afghanistan, where you have tribal warfare that goes on and on and on and on, and they fucking kill each other. Villages, even of the same tribes, will kill each other. It's just like a blood feud. It is a natural fucking thing. It's a very hard thing to break, and I think you, like, really oversimplify this impulse to fucking hate the people who are doing something to your people.
Yeah, but
He thinks Hamas are Martians, like they came out from outer space and then they just took over Gaza. Like Hamas
no, I
are
know, and they
Palestinians.
got voted
They're
in.
literally Palestinians who suffered through atrocities and suffered.
Their
being
suffering
refugees.
doesn't matter. It's whether or
Yes,
not they
it
got
does
voted
matter.
in.
See,
What do you mean it doesn't matter? That's
doesn't matter.
literally...
Nothing matters except when October 7th took
what
place.
happened?
Their suffering is what creates their fucking response.
What happened?
Exactly.
There was one free and fair election that happened.
They don't care. They don't care about this shit. Like, what do you not understand? All they know is death and dying and all of this fucking shit.
The only
They're
reason
going to
they
react.
They continue to
They
lose.
voted for
And
Hamas.
if that's happening, then I would blame the people that I voted for.
People,
That's
yes.
the
That
people
was
from us.
literally 2006, 2007. You're talking about
Okay,
something that happened
you know the
almost
reason
2
why there wasn't
decades
another
ago.
election is because
The majority,
Hamas,
it doesn't matter.
Hamas
People
decided
voted
there's
for
no more
Hamas.
elections. No more elections. Amazing.
So what? The people voted for Hamas because they believed that
Okay,
the
but
PA
and then
has
how
failed.
come?
But David, the overwhelming majority of the population is young. A lot of them are fucking kids. They were not alive, nor do they remember what happened in 2006, 2007. Like, these motherfuckers are all they know is that people they love have been killed, people they know have been killed, they've lived shit lives, and I don't know, somehow you think these people are going to be nice and reasonable.
I don't know.
That is unnatural.
If I was a kid at voting
Living in an
age,
one of the most overcrowded places on the face of the planet.
Think about it,
40 kilometers by
Okay,
Kingston,
so
like
but
that.
if I was
That's the life, bro.
if I was a kid at voting age, I'd be like, oh wait, how come we're not able to vote this?
Oh, you're
year?
such an
Oh,
idiot.
it's because
Really, no, hold on a second. If your parents, no, if your dad got killed one day and never came back home, and then your cousins that you like to play with ended up dead, then your neighbors, Timmy next door, I guess, Jamal, whatever the fuck a Palestinian name would be. Okay, you're gonna sit here and that is not gonna psychologically affect you. Okay, and that you're not gonna feel such a disgust and anger or rage against the people that did that to you. You're actually not human. That is it. That is stupid.
You are human.
We're all infallible. Okay, or none of us are infallible. We all experience this.
I'm sorry, was there a question?
Okay, but you don't think that you would end up getting knots in your stomach and rage?
Listen, not everything has to do with the Corsicans, Pepe. Not everything has to do with Corsica. Wait a minute. Pepe, there's no more argument. I mean, I never hear any of you ever talking about the law.
Kick him.
You're a fascist. An authoritarian fascist. I don't care. Kick me. Fascist.
Oh, we'll let you listen. How about that?
So, David, I think one of the biggest problems, and this is something I realize, and that's why I kind of really walk back the shit that I've said in the past, is that there are these are, especially when it comes to actual Palestinians, not Muslims that are just seeing what's happening to their people, but of course they're going to feel a certain way about it. But when it comes to Palestinians in particular, when it comes to Israelis in particular, more so than American Jews who.
You know what you need to do, Mountain? Change your name and go in there and change your PTR and see if you get a different response, man. That'd be fun.
I've done that shit over the years, man. I've done that. Do you know what stereo is?
No.
Stereo isn't half just like this, man. But you don't have a club. You can just do rooms. But what's cool about it is you can have up to 6 people in the room, but then you can have a bunch of people listening, and they can send a message. It's a perfect app for people to listen and shit and engage, but also to troll really hard. And I used to do that shit, bro, because you could just you have avatars in there, bro. When I first started, and so all you could literally do, it was the same thing, for people to get all tribal and stuff, and there would be racial rooms, and I could change my voice and just change my avatar, bro, and they'd fucking think that I was just different people and stuff, and it worked really good, I could act Middle Eastern or act African, or, I'm not good at acting like a female, and I'm not really good at acting like a black person, but I can act like an African.
Can you show us what that would sound like? I'm curious.
Okay. Which one, the Arabian voice? Hello everyone, how are you doing? Hold on. Which one, the Arabian one or what? The one from Pakistan?
I'm pretty sure they want to hear you do a black voice.
Samir, and I come from Pakistan. Hello, my friends. What is your social security number? May I have your social security number, please? I am trying to help you. Please. I come from Panjshir Valley, Afghanistan. And then, it works if you change your PTR, your avatar. That's weird. You change your avatar, and then you just change your voice, and it does something people don't know. And so, but it's weird, though. You just, as soon as you change your fucking avatar, you can, people will accept you, it's weird. Just the other day, I was acting like an anti-Zionist, I was in that Emir's room, they always have that pro-Palestinian room. And I just changed my name from Creekside to this Mountain Lee, and so I went in there and yeah, I just acted like like some Arabian dude, and they're always talking about how everything's like that, controlled by the Zionists and just everything. I would just, yeah, it's. They were talking about the IRGC, the Iranian IRGC, and I was just telling them that the IRGC had been infiltrated by the Zionists, and they were just like, yeah, you're right, yeah. It's just like, yeah, it's crazy, man. Anyway, that's very racial on these apps.
Did you do all this while you were cutting lawns and doing landscaping?
Who the fuck is this? My God. John.
Who's
Is that
this?
your real name? I heard it, bro, the other day. I heard you say your real name the other day when you were ordering ribs, motherfucker. That's your real name, John. That's cool, though. All right, finally. What's up, dude?
Full slab. It was delicious, but I felt guilty sucking on those pig bones.
Nice. Anyway, yeah, and so I'm half troll, half serious on this app. This app is a lot different, man.
Be upset then when they troll you. What's going on, Mr. Love? Love Art? How's the election looking in your New York State?
Ooh. Kamala's laughing because she's like, man, these Republicans are working so hard. They got no idea. I'm about to win this shit. When Alex Soros, Dominion voting systems, and all the Democrat election commissions in the country give me the presidency, she's going to say, honor thy neighbor's election results. Honor thy neighbor. And everybody's going to be like, she right. She's right. She's right.
You think she's going to be installed? I mean, you might be right.
Yeah. Then all you're going to do is just complain about it and file a grievance with the court, and then she'll just take the presidency. I mean, it's a no-brainer. She's going to get it. And then the challenge is on the Republicans to challenge her. And if they want, come December, they can shut the government down if they're not happy with the election results. But they won't do that. Oh no, they won't. They won't throw a wrench in the system. They'll never do that.
No, you know that won't happen. That's because, man, you know that, like, what could have likely happened was that when Joe Biden chose Kamala as his running mate, it was already written in stone that he was going to drop out within 4 years. So this first female black Indian woman could be installed because, goddammit, if America isn't going to vote for the first female president, that they're just going to put one in there. And that's I've said this 4 years ago, and it might be right.
How do you collect $2 trillion in taxes, but have 5 line items that are over $1 trillion apiece? The country is so broke, it can't afford to pay any employees. The Navy, the Army, the Air Force, all the employees at CIA, IRS, NSA, FBI, Coast Guard, there's no money to pay these people. It's all broke. It's $40 trillion in debt. It's beyond bankruptcy. Like, this isn't real. This is like people accept it as real, but it's not real money. This is like theft and fraud, anti-constitution, anti-declaration, anti-bill of rights, anti-anything. It's a scam. You can't just keep paying people with money you don't have and just keep borrowing. It's a scam. I mean, you can't just keep doing it. It's dishonest because the Federal Reserve can just keep creating. So, it's a scam. The whole system is running off of a scam. You can just calculate out how much, how it'll just keep going, unless there's like a thermonuclear war, and Wall Street gets blasted off the fucking map. Manhattan gets turned into a pile of glass. Like, that's when the game is up. That's when real value gets liquidated. When you're like, oh god, it might go back to a gold standard. Like, there would have to be major chaos to get people to start using gold again.
That might happen. I mean, you don't know. I don't know. There's probably a lot of that gold's fucking. I heard someone say, man, today that they're probably hiding a lot of the gold to say that there's not that much of it. You know, because like apparently there's a finite amount. They say that we're running out of gold.
It's
You
point.
know, but
Gold is pointless and useless. Like gold coins are useless. They're good for like jewelry. Like if you want, but that's it.
well, they're good conductors of electricity. I mean, like electronics. But yeah.
No, they're collectibles, and I bet you a lot of the gold is fake. How much you want to bet? A lot of those plastic gold capsulated bullion, that shit's fake. I mean, how the fuck you gonna open it and figure out if it's real? I mean, it looks real because if it's got like a patina, that means it's old. But I bet you a lot of gold is fake.
Sir, are you kidding me? I know that we check the Federal, Reserve every year. We do what do you call that? An IRS audit. On the Federal Reserve every year, sir. Are you suggesting that might just be empty? That we're just filling people full of bullshit? That our money is not backed by real gold? What are you suggesting?
No, I'm just saying that people on Monday mornings keep going to work. It just people don't stop. They won't stop. Like nobody's gonna stop working. If the whole system stopped working, then then they could stop it all. But they're not gonna do that. It's a crazy
I
world.
don't know. I tried selling weed for a while to get away from the system, but I just smoked most of it, so I'm not a good weed salesman. I'm stuck working as a work to death.
I think the truth we have come to is that we are in a decline, but not right now actually. GDP is not in decline, but we will face a future decline that's gonna come that's big. The issue is we need a president that can negotiate with our elites and tell them that they have to take a big cut out of their paycheck and they have to suffice that to the middle class. If that's not understood, or if they don't agree to that, we're not really gonna
Yeah,
influence
but
them.
the government could go around them and just do it anyways. They could issue minimum basic income and just borrow from the Federal Reserve and apply it to future tax liabilities. They don't even have to tax them now. They could tax them when they're dead.
Yeah, but the government needs to work with them, right? They are involved with the political process.
Well, so Toby, you want to try to convince rich people to take less money.
Yes.
So you realize that what happened with that, bro? I totally understand. I mean, no, listen to me. I get what you're saying. You're like a super tax, a hyper tax, like Frank tried, and then have all the millionaires and billionaires left. Here, there's a problem, man. Is that if you can't hurt people. Like you'll disincentivize people, or what rich people will do, they'll just hide their money in Switzerland. You're not going to be able to do that, man.
We're already taking a bigger hit. This is a lie that they tell people to fear them.
No, you're lying, Bill Gates. Listen, Bill Gates, you're lying. You're lying, Bill Gates.
If you're part of the middle class, I don't know if you guys are upper class, but if you're part of the middle class, you take the biggest hit, and you suffice the hit. So it's you that's gonna take the hit as the collapse is coming, and they're gonna take the least amount of damage. So if we're gonna have a productive country, we need them to take a good amount of damage too. That's what my point is. And
It's not damage. It's a percentage of your adjusted gross income. You're making it out like all these all or nothing statements. Damage. I mean, you're being a dramatist. Rich people got more than enough. They can't even spend the fucking money, my friend. There's nothing to even spend it on when you have that much money.
They do have more than enough. I agree.
And that's the thing is,
I'm talking about their greed. I'm probably using the wrong word, but their greed.
It's not even greed. It's control. And listen, when you have that much money, no one is even cognizant of the problems of your average middle class family. No one cares. There's a couple billionaires that, do real charity work, but for the most part, everyone's just busy like buttering their bread in the morning and making coffee. Like no one is doing shit for each other.
No, definitely. That's why I said we need a president that could do this.
Yeah, well, the truth of the economy is do nothing.
I guess when you get so rich, it's like the objective is not getting any richer, it's just becoming more powerful.
Yeah, and protecting your assets and just like not suffering loss. Yeah.
And preventing other people from becoming rich too.
No, not necessarily. You want to protect what
Yeah,
you
I
got.
know, guys.
That's all that matters is
It would be nice
protecting, diversifying.
That would be nice if billionaires did that, if they just protected their money and left us alone. But no, they
Some of them are
like
cheap.
Bill Gates and buy farmland and fucking and fuck with the environment. Even people like Elon Musk, man. I mean, he's a billionaire making moves, that literally affect our lives. I'm not saying that's a bad thing what Elon Musk is doing. I don't like all the rockets being shot in the sky. I'm not gonna lie, but that's a different thing. I'm just saying, like billionaires, man, it'd be okay if rich people would just, stay quiet and leave us alone, but they actually affect our lives. They affect our politics. And so you're not going to be able to convince these people to just take less money or give away their money, dude. I mean, you're never going to do that. I wish we
Listen,
could,
Elon
man,
is
but,
the cheapest guy in the world. I don't think he spends $1 of his own money. Everything he does is just build, Tesla pays it and SpaceX pays it. Like, I think he's the cheapest guy who's ever lived. He's live right now. I could pipe him into you right now. I swear to God, he's live on X right now. Listen to this. He's always talking. He's a maniac. He's got the most annoying people that he talks to, and these are his coworkers.
No, but actually, that is what I do.
I believe
If it's their coworkers, I'm pretty sure
so,
they're just trying to slob on his
you
shit
just,
to
you
get
just
better.
kind of confirmed what I was saying, though. Like, you can't admit.
I hate these people.
Yeah, well, we hear it though, bro. I got it.
I hate the people he talks to. They're so stupid.
I like, that Elon Musk is aligning with Trump and stuff, but something worries me about Elon Musk personally. I don't like.
When you think about it like
the fact
that,
that he
right,
wants
like
to shoot us off into space.
movies typically,
Mars,
especially
and honestly, man, I think
the
that's just kind of
like the actual like
I went on there.